I mean, yes, I've sold tons of luxury houses,
Sure.
but for me, it like, I didn't want it to be like an arrogance or something
Sure.
like that. You know, I want to be able to help everyone, and someone's $200,000 house, that's their castle, and I respect
Exactly.
that, you
Yeah.
know. But at this point now in my career, my experience and Stephanie's
Your niche.
experience, it is. You know, we know how to talk the talk. We know how to walk the walk. I mean, last week I had a gentleman in my vehicle that was worth over $250 million. And like he was looking for up to $5 million third home, not a first home, not a second home.
Yeah.
I mean, his other main house is like $12 or $13 million. You know, they put their pants on just like me. So they don't
Exactly.
intimidate me.
Speaking of which, let's talk on what we were talking about before
Oh,
we
gosh.
went live with the tattoos. You had mentioned, because I told Robert that I didn't start getting my tattoos till about 5.5 years ago, and I sat on that idea for so many years in real estate because I'm like, man, I want a sleeve, but if I do it, like I feel like I'm gonna lose business. And then finally I created this, I decided, I was like, you know what, fuck it. My business is referral based anyway. Yeah. So these people, they come to me anyway. Yeah. I doubt they're gonna judge me for what I have on my arms or on my skin. Right. But you had mentioned that you had dinner the other day.
It was funny because I mean, normally, I mean, you know, here I am showing all my tattoos for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, everyone knows. A few people wouldn't know where they'll see me. Oh, I see you in a suit or something like that. And but this gentleman, 84 years old, extremely like super well respected in the business community and the political arena as well. I just happened to be wearing a suit that day that I picked him up at the airport. Stephanie met us for dinner along with his financial planner as well, our advisor. And he made some comment in passing about tattoos and how he didn't like them. And I was like, well, I guess I'll be wearing long sleeve shirts this weekend. But normally I don't care. I mean, I really don't. I mean, it is what it is. It's who I am. You know, my tattoos, they all tell a story.
Exactly.
You know, my most important one is this one right here. This is about my life and God, and that's God's hand with the 3 keys. They represent the 3 keys to my heart.
Nice.
Stephanie, my 2 boys, Austin and Christian, and then that's my sobriety.
Nice.
You know, so it's like,
awesome,
for me, they
bro.
mean something.
Of course.
So I'm not embarrassed about them.
That's awesome,
And if someone wants to judge me, well, it's on them.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree 100%. So don't worry about your tattoos, okay? If you got tattoos, you're thinking about getting tattoos, agents, don't worry about it. As long as you don't get a Spurs tattoo on your neck, I think you'll be okay.
Or teardrops.
Or teardrops. If you got teardrops, you better do something. Make it look like eyeliner is dripping or something. But yeah, man. So let's move on to my next question. Is there anything that you're doing to prepare for this shift that you can possibly feel confident that it's going to help you thrive?
Well, like I mentioned, marketing. Right now, this is what I know to be true because of other businesses that I've owned. Most business people think, oh gosh, things are changing. We need to cut expenses. I'm not saying you don't need to cut expenses. Maybe cut personal expenses.
Yeah.
Don't cut your business expenses.
Exactly.
Or if they're a business expense that really you shouldn't be having, like, you know, massive client lunches or something like that. Okay, shift that. But you need to have your brand in front of people.
Yeah.
Now more so than ever, because when it just always happens, when the vast majority of people start pulling back, well, guess what? You're going to look that much bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
And I get it. Not everyone has the financial thermostat to be able to put out money, but
Yeah.
you mentioned it already. Social media. Hey, social media is free.
Exactly.
I get why some of these agents do that. It needs to be a component of, not the only.
Exactly.
But hey, if there's a budget, then you need to go all in, man. 10X it like Grant Cardone
True.
says.
You know, it's funny you say that, man. Like so, you know, I built the brokerage off of a referral base, right? Like everyone there is referral base, and I'll admit it, man. I'm not afraid. I'm not going to hide it, but you know, we've been having our leadership. We've been having meetings on, you know, what are we going to do to help at least give these agents some potential or opportunity to be able to sustain this shift, right? And so it's like, we got to start buying leads.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've been against for the past 8 years.
We
but now
don't buy them either.
We got to start buying leads. And I think also more importantly, not just to help our agents out, but also because I'm noticing, and I'm sure you can relate to this, the buyers with the drive in these prices and values shooting up so quickly, the buyers aren't so much coming from locals anymore. They're coming from people relocating to San Antonio. And so if we're just focusing on our referral base, I'm sharing with y'all exactly what goes on in my mind, right? If we're just focusing on our referral base, we're missing out on a big piece of the pie of what's relocating here.
Dude, it's huge.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've built massive relationships with agents from all around the country.
Yeah.
And, we consistently get referrals that way. We got 2 last week.
Yeah.
There's one gentleman that he's actually become a really, really good friend, Greg Lusick, out of Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
And I mean, he sent me the first deal. It was so funny. He sent me the first deal about 2 years ago. And unfortunately, that person didn't have enough to sell, and it was a disabled vet. My heart is always with the vets.
Yeah.
And I called up Greg. It was the very first deal. I said, "Look, man, I'm willing to help this veteran out for what he's done for our country.
Yeah.
I won't charge anything, but it means you're not going to get a referral."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I'm cool with that." What happened was a unscrupulous solar panel person sold him I think it was like a $45,000 system on a $175,000 house. Like, how do you sleep at night?
Yeah.
So I wanted to help this soldier and his family out. We got the deal done and everything else. Well, guess what? Greg has sent me I think 9 deals since then. Sometimes it's not always about the money.
Earned his trust, man.
Of course,
that you're going to take care of the people.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely. So yes, you're 1,000% on point. It's like, don't just focus here. Don't you need to look macro, not micro.
Yeah, true, very true. Another thing that I want to make clear to a lot of new agents or newer agents is it takes money to make money. And that's a big thing that I'm noticing, a big thing that it seems like a lot of new agents that are getting in the business have no money.
Yeah.
They have no money. And it's like, I've interviewed some agents that are agents that are about to take their exam that are soon to be agents, I should say, that I'll ask them, like, do you have any reserves?
Yeah.
Do you have that financial support? And they're like, no. And I'm just like,
and then many of them are the same ones that want to become a luxury agent.
Yes, yeah. Or do commercial. They want to do commercial.
Oh, God forbid. It's like, this week alone, I told you before we started, I've spent $13,000 this week alone on marketing.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Hell, even for me, that's a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, you want to play, you got to pay.
You got to pay.
And so it's like, you want to get into that arena, please know, it comes with a price.
Yeah.
It does. And
for sure.
It was very easy last year and the beginning of this year to sell stuff. I mean, we sold one luxury home. It was 1.9 million. We sold it for 130,000 over asking, multiple offers, in one weekend. Bro, that ain't going to happen anymore. That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
But you know what? We didn't change anything that we did. We still had professional photography. Mm-hmm. We still had professional videography. We still had all the professional marketing. Even though I knew in my heart of hearts that I was going to sell it that weekend, I still spent almost $3,000 getting that house ready to hit the market.
Yeah.
Some would say, well, that's just wasting money. It's like, no, because that's our standard.
Yeah.
So when you start playing in that arena, you have to have a standard.
Exactly.
Many of these agents, they would just take whatever pictures, cell phone pictures or whatever.
I don't notice
on a
it
multi-million-dollar
as much
house
anymore, but I still see it every now and then. And of course, and again, man, I'm not here to dictate, or not dictate, but judge. But whenever I see a listing, especially a luxury listing, man, whenever I see a listing that goes live on the MLS and I see that the agent you can tell they use their camera phone, I get furious, and I have nothing to gain from that listing. But I'm just like, bro, like, you're making us look like like you're part of the reason of why people don't want to pay us our 3% anymore. Because you don't want to spend $150 or $200 for some professional photos.
Exactly.
And it irks me, man, to see that.
So because of that shifting market, we're already used to that expense. So for us, nothing's going to change.
Built in.
It's built in.
Yeah.
We're acting the same way.
Yeah.
But for those that don't have those reserves and all of a sudden they're like, oh gosh, besides pricing it wrong and doing everything else, guess what?
See, I make it very clear in our brokerage, whenever one of our agents gets a listing, even if it's a new agent and they don't have the money to pay for photography, we'll pay for it for you and we'll just bill you at closing. Because I do not want any of our listings.
It's your image. It's like, this is your product that you put your name. It's your sweat and tears. It's your money on the line when you've got to write your rent check every month and everything else. It's like, so I applaud you for keeping strong with your standards. That's awesome.
We have to. We have to. That, and then I'll just say, agents, as soon as you close your first deal, do not take a vacation. I see that a lot.
When I closed my first deal, I bought a Versace shirt. That was me.
That's a vacation right there. But do not take a vacation, guys and ladies, because we had an agent. She ended up becoming one of our top agents, but man, she would do closings. Every time she had a closing, she would take off somewhere, and I'm like, you gotta chill. You gotta chill. Don't do that, especially with us going into this shift. We're not gonna have that ability to just be taking off all the time. Like it's gonna come down to work, you know? But yeah, don't take a vacation. Don't go splurging. In my opinion, for those new agents, whenever you close your first deal, think of it as an investment. Almost think of it like an investor flipping their very first flip. They usually take a loss on it's a learning experience. So think of that as a learning experience. Your very first closing, do not count those dollars, especially until it funds, but do not count those dollars, because all that money should be going back into your marketing. Back into your marketing budget, you know, so that you can just continue to push yourself out there. I mean, dude, I have agents that, you know, have came to me and they're like, I don't have money to get a new set of cards. And I'm just like, we'll get it for you. We'll get it for you. But it's like, come on, man. Like,
I wish more agents would wrap their head around the fact that they are in business and they need to treat it as a business. And I think that's where my mind shift really changed, is when I did own these other businesses. And then I realized it was funny. You know, one of the companies, it could bill $2.5 million in a month. And sometimes we didn't have $5,000 to chop up.
Damn.
You know, and in real estate, as you well know, there's no ceiling to what you can make. It's how hard you want to work. You know, so you have all of this cash, you have to reinvest in the business. You have to carve out something. So it's like, because we have not been buying any houses right now, Stephanie or I, we're like, okay, well, instead of spending the money on something stupid or something like that, you know, we're pouring back into the business. All right, let's grow. Exactly. You know, we want to double down and double our production.
And that's how you create sustainability, is reinvesting your money. You know, I'll tell you guys, because I'll just say it right now. I got a bunch of friends at EXP. I got a bunch of friends at Real. Guys, right now, all my friends at EXP and Real, y'all need to just be focusing on selling right now. I'll tell you right now, just focusing on selling, because, you know, there's a lot of things you can get mixed up in. You can tune into a training for how to recruit. You can tune into a training on how to invest. You can tune into training on the stocks and all this. Guys, I'll tell you right now, y'all need to just focus on tuning in on prospecting and training, because that is going to be what's going to make you stick around in this business. I think back in 2010, I remember when I got in real estate, there was maybe 4,500 agents in San Antonio, in the greater San Antonio. And at that time, I thought that was a lot. Now there's over 17,000 realtors in the greater San Antonio. And I'll tell you right now, I would not be surprised to see at least half of that removed by the end of the year.
And I mean, I'm already seeing it. I'm seeing agents exiting, you know, and
quietly,
exactly, very quietly.
And I'm not joking about that. I'm not here to make fun of
nor am I. I mean, I'm not. I never want to see anyone fail. But like I said before, the reality is, it doesn't matter what industry. You know, some people are just not going to hack it. It is what it is. You're going to have fallout.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to thin out. Which then is only going to help concentrate the amount of sales to all the people that have been around, or at least are definitely doing all the actions to stick around. You know, now we had to really share a lot of sales with people that were, you know, ridiculously unprofessional. Didn't know what the heck they were doing. Their brokerage. I had a deal the other day. Oh my goodness. We went in, this was right before things went crazy. No option. Full waiver of appraisal. This is a near $1 million house. No option. Full waiver of appraisal. We paid for everything. Title policy. Blah 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 blah. And the listing agent was like, "Well, why is no option important to my seller?" I'm like, "Whoa."
Oh man. So,
I felt bad for her.
I'll say this. I feel like there should be. Oh man, I feel like there should be some type of rule. I doubt it'll ever happen, that Trek should put on. I mean, I don't know, maybe, but Trek should implement a rule where you cannot create a team in real estate until you've been in the business for at least 5 years and done at least 100 transactions. Because that is a big thing. It's the popular thing now. Everyone's starting a team. And I get it, man. I was the same mentality 8-9 years ago when I started kicking ass, and I figured my next step is to start a team. And I didn't know the first thing about being a team leader.
It's hard.
I went through those growing pains myself. But
we still do.
I see that now so much more than ever, where it's like, so-and-so just started a team, and I'm like, they've just been in the business for like 6 months.
Exactly.
And I'm like, what do you have to provide to your agents Like what type of experiences?
None.
Bro, I remember this. My very first broker told me, you can't say you know it all. And this is narrow-minded, of course, but you can't say you know it all until you've done at least 100 transactions.
Even then you can't say you know it all. That's just
so yeah, man. And I remember thinking, okay, so cool. Once I get to 100, and then once I got to 100, 8-9 years ago, I'm just like, no, this shit ain't true. Like, no. I'm still learning. Like, even to this day, I'm 600 plus properties. I'm still learning.
Like,
you know?
Our attorney over at the office, we lean on him a lot. Yeah. You know, collectively, Stephanie and I have well over 2,000, 2,500 transactions easily. I don't know it all, bro. Yeah. Sometimes there's something that I'm stumped on, and I have to call our legal counsel for a question. Yeah. So it's like, I'll never be arrogant enough to say I know everything about marketing or sales or the contracts. No, there's so many moving parts to this industry.
I agree, man, and that's the part that I'm curious to see too. Is with all these teams being formed, I was actually working on, and I just let off of it. I was working on creating a class for people that want to become team leaders, and I was just going to share all my experiences pretty much of what I failed at, what I could have done better, what I would do differently, and then of course talk about my wins and what did work for me and what's working for me. But I started focusing on the brokerage and what we're dealing with. And so, but guys, I'll tell you right now, don't start a team until you truly feel confident about being an actual team leader, because once you become a team leader, it's not about you anymore.
Yes,
that's the biggest mistake that I see a lot of team leaders make is they forget that it's no longer about them. It's about their team. You got to be comfortable and willing to take that sacrifice of walking out of the spotlight. Right. I'll talk about this. 2021 is my first year that I'm not getting recognized for any awards. Wow. And I'm okay with that. I'm 100% okay with that. But at the same time, I see all these people posting, what their awards and everything. I'm like, cool. I'm like, damn. This is really happening. I did not get any awards for 2021, bro. But you know what? It's
I'm gonna make an award for you.
I got Ana Sanchez getting recognized for
awesome.
PT Top 100, or I got Haley Witt. All these agents that work with me that are now getting recognized, and I'm like, that's my award.
Exactly, that's your
my award right there.
That's your award.
See my agents, making 6 figure. We got a few agents that have already hit 6 figures for the first time, in their career, and that alone, I'm just like, that's my win right there. Awesome. That's my award. Is knowing that I have some contribution from that.
For sure. 100%.
So yeah, man, I'll say that agents, don't start a team until you are ready to walk out of the spotlight and make it about your team, because that is the biggest mistake that I see often with a lot of agents. Let me ask you this real quick, man. Do you see rates coming back down by the end of the year, or do you think that this is our new normal?
I don't know if it's necessarily our new normal. This is what I feel to be true. We'll never see rates as low as we saw them. That I will, I'll take that to the bank. I seem to think that rates will probably come down a little bit more. Maybe they'll hover somewhere in the 4.75 range, 5 range, right around there. I think maybe that might be the new norm. Yeah. The Fed really did. They needed to accomplish what they needed to do, and they definitely pumped the brakes. And it has resonated with the marketplace. I mean, someone that was buying it, 700,000 is now looking at 550 or something like that, unless they can come up with more cash. So this is the challenge that I think we're in right now, because this is all still so fresh. Just think about this, marinate on it. So people, let's just say they were looking at, since I use the number 700, let's say they were looking at a $700,000 house. Now all of a sudden their buying power went down, but their taste is still over here. Yeah. So it's going to take a few months for them to get reacquainted with what their new taste has to be. Yeah. So I feel that we're in a little, I don't want to say a lull or a dead zone or anything else, because we've still been ridiculously busy. Yeah. But I think it's going to get busier once people's minds start getting accustomed to what their new normal is.
Exactly. Well, and that's why I like, I was watching Kano's podcast last week, and he had mentioned this, he had said this little phrase of, marry the house, date the rate.
Totally.
It's so true.
Yes.
Marry the house, like meaning buy that damn house right now and stop sitting on the fence.
Right.
And date the rate, meaning that you can just refi out of it once those rates do 100%. Come back down.
Dude, I don't like anything Dave Ramsey says. Like, I can't stand the guy. But the other day, I mean, it was all over the place. He was like saying, if you're thinking about buying, you need to buy. House prices are not going to go down. To talk about house prices, this is what is so perplexing. So I remember when I got into the business and we were selling homes over in the Dominion, $97 a foot. And I was like, oh shit, I hope this place is gonna,
you know, bought that then.
I know, right? I'm like, hope this place is gonna appraise, blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, if you had a high-end home over there, you're like 125 a foot. Wow. This is 31 years ago. Yeah. So just think. So if builder homes are, say, going for 200, 250, I mean, I have a custom home being built right now at 550 a foot. Where is all of this, the market's going to crash bullshit coming from? Yeah. Why would a resale home drop 50% value when builders are still over here keeping their numbers up there? Let's just say they go down a little bit.
Yeah.
Now you have to understand that resale, it's going to stay up there. There's no reason for them to come down here.
Yeah.
So it's like when I explain that to people, they're like, "Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit."
Yeah. You know? See, you know, and so you're touching on something that I feel is probably the most valuable thing we can talk about right now. Agents. I think it's more important. I stress this so much in our trainings every week. I think it's so much. This is the most important thing I can say to you out of this segment is that you have to be setting the right expectations in your buyer consultation. You have to be setting the right expectations in your listing presentation, because I've been saying it in our meetings with our agents that are going on listing appointments. Do not continue to flirt with this idea to your seller by setting this expectation that we're going to get a bidding war.
Yeah.
That shit does not exist anymore.
That's gone.
Yes, it's still happening, but do not set that expectation.
Yeah, that's
right?
gone.
Say it's a possibility, but I do not want to set that expectation with you, Mr. Seller, because we are in a shifting market where it is normal to just get asking price now, and that's okay. Or it is normal to consider accepting an offer that's just shy of our asking price if we've already been on the market for a few weeks.
100%.
Because man, back in 2010, the average days on market was like 3 to 4 months.
Exactly.
You know, and that was the norm.
That was norm.
We weren't saying things like, why is it still on the market?
No,
like,
it was normal.
That was normal. So I think that it's crucial and it's more important than ever that agents are setting the right expectations, because like you said, bro, you just got 3 listings this week from other agents that overpromised their sellers on price. Yeah. And now you're taking over because you're setting the right expectations in your appointment. And now I think that you're positioning yourself, especially with these 3 listing appointments that you had, you're positioning yourself to now you've created an understanding for your sellers to where now they're going to say, you know what, that makes sense because that wasn't explained to me.
Right.
And now they're going to trust you even more.
Right.
You're not even going to have to buy their trust. You're not going to have to convince them. No. They're walking into this relationship with you now where they're like, I should have gone with you in the first place. You're right. So I'm going to listen to whatever you have to say now.
We're hand in hand. That's the unfortunate truth, is that people think a licensee is a licensee. They think we're equal.
Not all realtors are created equal.
No, they're not. Sure. And it's like, years ago I started, as a beginner as well. But from a seller's perspective, if you have someone that, I'll take me out of the mix. You had someone that did 500 deals versus someone that's done 5. What do you think the outcome is going to be? What do you think the conversations are going to be? What do you think the marketing is going to be? The experience, it's night and day.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to be the first person that a plastic surgeon operates on, or the 5,000th person? You've seen those people on, that was number 1.
Oh man, that's so true.
I don't want to be number 1.
That's so true. That's so damn true, man. I'll tell you right now, like that's the part that I think that we're gonna. I shouldn't say that's the fortunate, but that is the part that I think we're gonna stop seeing so much is people hiring their family member because they just got their license and they want to help them. Now, because that person that just got their license and maybe did that 1 or 2 transactions this year, that it doesn't have a sustainable business, doesn't have a game plan in place, doesn't have any just prospecting plans, any database, they are going to fall out. And now, how much did that person really help that family member?
Right.
They probably left money on the table too,
and negatively affected that house.
Yeah,
I mean that's unfortunate.
I agree, man. So, is there anything that you'd like to add? Or any questions that you'd like to?
I want to go back and just reiterate that it is not the end of the world. I mean, it really isn't.
Yes.
Life will go on. Business will continue to happen. What I know to be true is you're going to have to learn more. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to work more. You're going to have to work smarter, definitely harder. And I mean, it's funny when I say that, because I think we worked ridiculously hard these last 2 years, but I honestly think we're going to have to work even harder, in this shifting market. People are going to have to stay on top of real news, real data,
True.
not bullshit news or anything
Some
like
YouTube
that.
guy.
Yeah, some YouTube guy that has like, oh God, the sky is falling, or everyone's, there have been, I'll say this, there have been a lot of price adjustments, but you have to think about it. It's been a lot of price adjustments on homes that were either overpriced or just crud, just absolute crud.
Yeah, true. We got Ruben Hernandez real quick asking, what advice would you guys give to an agent like me, 2.5 years in, moving into the shift? Pretty much the same thing that we've been talking about, bro. Yeah. It's Chris Cano. That's the question sticking out. Why does Robert Elder have a shirt on? He lied to me about this podcast. But sorry, I got sidetracked with that question. But yeah, Ruben, honestly, bro, you do great at social media. I know who you are. I had you on recently. Mm-hmm. You're amazing at social media. I think that right now it's just more important than ever to just focus on the prospecting aspect, because the prospecting, I'll tell you right now, I don't want to make up this statistic, but I'm pretty confident that maybe 1 in 5 agents are actually prospecting.
Oh gosh. I think you're being generous.
Yeah.
I honestly think you're being very generous.
Yeah. So maybe 1 in 5, maybe 1 in 10 agents are actually prospecting. So those are the ones that are going to be able to sustain what's going to happen or what's starting to happen. Prospecting, dude. So let me say this, because I meant to point this out. Another thing is that I want to highlight the idea that you're doing an open house today. Granted, it's a broker's open house, right? But you're doing an open house today during the week, during the middle of the week.
Yeah.
I keep telling my agents, right? Because I have agents that are doing open houses on the weekends, and I love it, right? But I tell them, I was like, the hustle is different now than it was back then. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn by any means. I'm not trying to be that OG sitting on the porch saying, "Oh, you damn kids don't have, back in my day." I'm not trying to be that guy. But at the same time, the hustle was so different compared to what it is now. Bro, I was doing open houses every fucking day.
Yes.
During the week, every day.
Yeah.
If I didn't have anyone to show homes to today, I'm doing an open house.
Exactly.
And you don't see that anymore.
No.
Now you see agents that are like, "Well, it's too hot.
Right.
Well, maybe I'll do it on Saturday."
Yeah.
And it's like,
I went out and bought
how bad do you want it?
I freaking went out, like, I'm making a production out of this. I bought a seersucker suit. I bought a freaking bowler hat, bow tie. I never wear a freaking bow tie, but it's a particular look on this house.
Yeah.
And I want people to have fun. I want these agents to walk away talking about this event.
Yes.
Stephanie and I are actually going to host the open house this weekend.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm going to wear the same fucking suit, because when people walk in, I want them to have this experience.
Yes.
I'm probably going to go back to doing open houses again as part of my lead gen.
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. I have fun with it. Of course, it got very, very different, during the height of COVID. It was difficult, but it's normal now to do it. You need to go out and do it, agents. These people that I just want to post a video. I just want to post a tour of a house.
Yeah.
That's just one thing.
That's one thing.
You need to get belly to belly.
Yes.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
I've done tons of business because of social media. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It works.
Yeah.
I've done millions over my career when I got back into the business, but it's all the other stuff you got to do too.
Yeah.
All the other stuff.
It's true. So I'll tell you right now, agents, open houses, start doing them.
Yes.
Start doing them during the week. Just do them, right? A lot of agents will say, "Oh, it's a waste of time. No one's going to show up." That's because you're not setting up the right expectation for your open house. You need to be circle prospecting for your open house. You need to know by Monday that you're doing an open house on Saturday.
Correct.
So that way you have time to start calling on that neighborhood, circle prospecting, inviting these neighbors, door knocking, getting your flyers mailed out, getting your flyers printed. So that way you have a successful open house and you're not just showing up on Saturday 30 minutes before your open house, sticking some signs out and saying,
"That's if they get their 30 minutes."
I hope someone shows up. No, you know what? Here's a perfect example. Show up to his broker open house today. What time? Give us the details on it.
It's
again.
5 to 7. There's only so much food and drink.
Hey, there you go. There you go. But he's going to show you a perfect, all my local agents that are watching right now, he's going to show you a perfect example of how an open house should be done. Granted, it's a $2.2 million listing. So yeah, he's got to spend money to make money and he's going extravagant, rightfully so. But he's going to show you a perfect example of doing an open house properly to set the right expectations, but to also see results.
Yeah.
And that is what you need to be following. That's why I wanted him here on the show, so that y'all can learn from this and say, fuck, that's what I need to be doing.
Yep.
And so, yeah, give the details on the address again, man.
101 Hibiscus. It's in Castle Hills. 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock this evening. The weather's going to be perfect.
Let's go.
All the rain happened last night, thank God.
Dress to impress, guys.
Dress
Do
to
not
impress.
show up to a $2.2 million house in your chucks like I probably would. But yeah, dress to impress. I won't be wearing a hat. I'm going to show up, dappered out. Maybe not as dappered as you, but I'll be showing up dappered out.
Show up. Would love to see you.
But yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Yes, please make sure that you like, follow, comment, share, subscribe. Please help me build up my audience to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's the Sauce Podcast with AJ Reygadas. Again, make sure that y'all tune in. They're going to be live at the Line Studio tomorrow morning at 7. Is it live?
Yes.
Yeah, 7:30 tomorrow morning. Chris Cano is going to have Mr. Jack Hawthorne himself on the podcast.
2 heavy hitters.
I'm anxious to see this one, man. So y'all make sure y'all tune in for that one tomorrow. I love y'all. Have a good day. Make it a blessed one and make an impact on somebody's life. Have a good one.